So this is the cartridge, an Atari 2600 game, and it says here it's from 1988. So for an Atari 2600 game, this is a pretty late game, and I think this is the third Pac-Man game on the console. I don't know how well that comes out, but it looks like they've just taken a photograph of a TV to get their screenshot, which is, I suppose that's how they had to do it back then. I do quite like the look of these boxes. They are very similar to NES boxes, aren't they? And inside there's a bit of a weird sort of thing going on. Bit of a weird design on the inside there. And the instruction book manual is not really a manual, it's just a piece of paper. But it does give you some useful hints. It's not in the greatest condition, but considering the age of it, I'm not exactly surprised. So let's play some Junior Pac-Man. I'm a little bit worried that I'm going to break something when I put this in, because these cartridges are just a little bit cheap. They don't look like the strongest things in the world, and this doesn't really fit in properly. You have to really push it in there to get it in there. Right. So here we go. So what you can do, you can press the select button to change the difficulty. So you can see the teddy bears there and the kite. And that, as far as I know, the only thing that changes is how many ghosts there are. Or as they're called in this, bullies. Ghostly bullies. So here we go, and this game is absolutely frantic. It's rock hard, and the mazes are, as you can see, really quite big. Hopefully those ghosts don't disappear, but they are very flickery, so I don't know what will happen once I've finished the video. Hopefully you can see them all. I hadn't actually heard about this game when I bought my Atari 7800. I was going to just buy the original Pac-Man game, but then I saw this and this looks much better. This is definitely much better than the original Pac-Man that was released by Atari. And I practiced it a little bit. It is extremely challenging. In fact, those power-ups, I think they're called power pills, they do run out pretty quickly sometimes, which caught me out there. So I'm dead already. I think what I'll do is I'll change the difficulty just a little bit. Maybe 2 ghosts. Let's change it to 2 ghosts. What I've done quite recently is I modified my 7800, because it turns out if you play these older 2600 games, the picture is absolutely terrible. So I've modified it for a clearer picture, and this is the result. It's a much better picture. Must have been a bit of a technical accomplishment to make such a big maze. Now something I didn't really read the instructions before playing it. I have now, but I noticed when playing it that you've got these power-ups that appear that are just kind of toys, like kites and cats and things that just start moving about the maze. And what they do is they change the collectibles and they'll make those blocks bigger. So you can see them ones in the middle there that aren't flashing are actually bigger. They give you more points, but they also slow you down. And when you're running away from ghosts, it turns out it's faster to run through a clear part of the maze. So on the back of the box of this game, it says that you can play it on a 2600 and you can play it on a 7800. So I think what Atari had done is they'd released their new console, re-released their older console, and they were still making games for the older console too. So even though this is a 2600 game, it's not an older game. It is actually a game that was current when the 7800 was released. So if you're somebody that has a 7800 and you're collecting games for it, there is quite a limited amount of games for you to choose from. They were making new 2600 games for you to play on your 7800. They were just making it as a budget option. To be quite honest with you, if you had a Pac-Man game on the newer console, it might look a little bit prettier than this, but it's still going to be Pac-Man, isn't it? Junior Pac-Man is actually the son of Pac-Man and Ms. Pac-Man. And you know what? It turns out this wasn't made by the company that made Pac-Man. That was a Japanese company called Namco, for those that don't know. And this was made by a different company. It wasn't made by Atari. Ah, some music. There really is a lot of noise going on, isn't there? If you played this on your TV in your living room, that would annoy your parents. So it turns out the ghosts have their own different personalities, and I just didn't have time to learn them all. I mean, that would take hours and hours of practice, but I found that they really do get on your case. You know, this green guy's not leaving me alone, is he? Can you see them lines on the left side of the screen there? I guess there must be a reason why they're there. I saw them in another game. I was going to do a video of Phoenix and Berserk, and I was going to put them both in the same video because they're both really small games. I just haven't finished the video yet, and I might not bother. See, even though this console, well, not this console, even though the 2600 is a really very simple console, all of the games are really fast. They always move really fast. I mean, this is older than the first computer that I had, the Amstrad CPC, but a lot of games on the Amstrad had a lot of trouble with slowdown. I don't think there are any Atari games that have slowdown. They're always blisteringly fast. And this one's certainly no exception. It's a bit monochrome though, isn't it? I don't really like the sound that the toys make when they're in the maze. The instructions do talk about them, actually, and they say pay attention to game sounds, such as the tromping sound of toy candies. So they've decided to call it a tromping sound, which is fair enough. Oh god, that power ran out just a little bit too early. Actually, this is the kind of game that, because it's difficult, if you do well at it, it does make you feel pretty good about it. Them ghosts are relentless. Now, I've seen a video of the arcade original, and there are some little story cutscenes which are not in this version. So there is in fact a little story going on. Now, I'm sure at some point the mazes just loop back to the first maze, and you're just basically chasing a high score, and that's usually what happens with these Atari games. But this is great. I'm happy I bought this. This is exactly the sort of thing that I wanted to play when I bought my Atari 7800. Oh no, because that's supposed to be a cat. Ah, right, yeah, so my recording cut out because my hard drive ran out of space. So I guess we'll end the video here. The end.